am still here. It's by the grace of God. Ooh, I am still here. It's by the grace of God. All right, cool. Instagram is connected. You gotta finish the song. So, as you can probably tell, I am congested. When I tell you, uh, congested. But I said I was gonna go live, so I'm working on showing up. When I say I'm gonna show up, a little late. I actually put a time on it this time to kind of give people like an idea, but you know, 7:39 ish. We here. But anyway, for those who are gonna watch this later or joining in now, whatever the case, welcome to another one of my lives. Um, I said I was gonna do these once a month for the year, and so far I've done two each month. So this will be the fourth one of the year, I think. Um, so I'm pretty excited about it, and we just get a chance to just kind of talk and do whatever. But really wanted to get on here and talk for real because life is crazy. um, if you did not know, life is absolutely insane. And here I am, battling with the flu all last week. I went to the doctor. They were like, "Yeah, you don't have COVID, you don't have the flu." They said you don't have the flu, and then they called me back later that day, and they were like, "Actually, yeah, you do have the flu. You got like a bad version of the flu." Um, and I was like, "Yeah, definitely got the flu for sure." So coming back to life, coming back to recover, but I said I was going to do it, so I'm here. So we're not going to be too long tonight, but I just wanted to talk to us because, like I said, the world is crazy, right? If you had a chance to come to the Create as well at the beginning of February, it was amazing. Got some really good feedback from it, but one of the things that I got as we were discussing the valley was that a lot of people felt like they are in a valley or like experiencing a continuous valley of life. And so, as I started to think about that more and more, I was like, I think a lot of us are going to go through a valley season. Like we're all, it's like we talked about the create as well, and just in general, scripture says we're going to go through valley seasons in life. But I think right now we're kind of in a collective valley, definitely as a country, but as a world as well. And so I just feel like we're at this point where there's just so much chaos happening where, things that are happening that don't normally happen, like planes are having malfunctions. We have the government that you used to be able to trust, and you say that with, quotes, but the government being very non-standard at this point. No matter your political affiliation, you just have to admit that like what's happening now is crazy all the way around, right? You've got people losing jobs, you've got sicknesses, you've got the bird flu, you've got crazy inflation, you have all these things happening, right? And the fact of the matter is they're probably going to continue. So it's not really like a super encouraging live tonight, to be honest, but it's more so like, what do we do now? Like, what do we do in this valley? And so as I was thinking about this, I feel like there's a lot of people that I've been talking to that have just decided that they want to give up, just kind of give up and just exist in this moment. And so I feel like that's fair for a moment, right? But I think that's a bad thing for us to lean into, is like truly just giving up um for a long period of time, because if you give up for too long you will just continue to stay in a given up state, like you just kind of lay down and you don't do anything about it. And so why does this matter? The fact is that Jesus tells us in Matthew that we are the salt and the light of the earth. We're the salt because we're supposed to be able to preserve situations. We're supposed to be able to add flavor to things. We're supposed to actually have healing properties. Like if you look at what salt was used for in the Mediterranean and Middle Eastern culture, salt was a preservative. Salt was used for healing, and salt was used for flavor as well, as we still use it today. So we're supposed to be able to doing those same like of those same methods in the world today. But if we sit down and we do nothing, we're not doing that. Then he also comes right after that and says, "You're the light of the world." And as we know, light, it gets rid of darkness. It shines. It makes paths like illuminated so that people can see what's going on, so that people can like have light. Like, um, I was thinking about this last night. My house, the where I live, is very susceptible to like storms and issues like that. And so when the power goes out here, of course the lights go out, because we were supposed to have a snowstorm, and they had a bad snowstorm a couple years ago, and that caused the lights to go out. So the power was out, the light was out, or whatever. And so I remember it was a work day, and I was just reading the book, enjoying, like, it was nice because we didn't really have any cell phone service, couldn't watch TV, so I was just reading the book. I was catching up on the book, and but once it got dark, I like went to go turn on the light so I could continue to read, and there was nothing. So I was no longer to do the things that I wanted to be able to do because there was no more light. So thinking to that, like that example, like kind of funny example at that point, but like when Jesus says we're the light of the world, like light actually helps people do things that they need to do. Like light makes it possible for you to be able to accomplish the things that you need to accomplish, because I couldn't read without the light. I couldn't navigate my house easily, I know where I'm walking to, but I couldn't, once it got like pitch black, I had to like really feel around and make sure I wasn't bumping into couches or bumping into whatever. So without the salt and light doing what it's supposed to do, then the earth and the realm is not in a good place. And I feel like that's where a lot of us are. Like if we're the salt and the light and we're just as scared, or we're just as like timid and unsure and whatever as everybody else, then like what hope do they have? What hope do we have? Right, it's like if we're not doing what we need to do for ourselves or our fellow man, then like we're really doomed. And that's just kind of like the charge that I wanted to do tonight, especially for Christian creatives, primarily the audience that I talk to, as well as Christians, because all of us are charged to do something. And like I said, we're charged to be salt and light, but we also are giving gifts, and we're giving gifts to be able to glorify God and bring his kingdom here on earth. And so that doesn't mean you have to be in a pulpit preaching. It doesn't mean you have to go live on Instagram or Facebook, but like whatever you have, you should use it. And I was scrolling through social media today, and I saw, I don't know if she, I won't say it, but I saw somebody who went to the Create as well, and she was being interviewed for a podcast. And so she writes about like grief and her grief journey and whatnot. And she had mentioned that sometimes she doesn't share because it can be heavy, right? Writing about grief is, it's not really like a fun thing. And it is a heavy thing. As she had mentioned that like sometimes she doesn't want to share all the time because it can be heavy. And I thought about that. I was like, a lot of people probably feel that way about what they do, but like I would encourage you, whatever that gift is that God has given you, like use it. Because then she followed up and said that there's not really a reason to not share because somebody is feeling that way. And so again, we're in this very political climate. Trying not to make this whole political speech because that'll take me to another place. But like we're in this place, we're in this place essentially where like there's just chaos around us, and there's just never a dull moment. There's just so much happening, and it's really a divisive technique, and it's also a distraction technique, because if you're constantly confused and you don't really know what's going on, like it's hard for you to focus. And like that's essentially one of the methods of the enemy to get us to not doing things, like to get us to be so confused and to be so overwhelmed with the chaos that we just like stop. And so my thing is to you, my question to everybody tonight, whenever you watch this, if you watch this, if you share it with someone, whatever, um, if you stop doing what you are called to do, what impact will that have? Not necessarily on you, but what impact will that have on the people around you? So, just a very practical example. If you're somebody who cooks very well for people, right? And you stop cooking, you just give up. You're like, the world is too crazy. Like eggs are too expensive. I can't do this anymore. I'm too overwhelmed. I'm too constantly overwhelmed. I'm just never going to pick up a spatula or a frying pan ever again. Well, There might be people who need your meals. There might be people who don't know how to cook. There might be people who might want to learn to cook, but because they don't see somebody that looks like them cooking, they might feel that it's not possible for them to do it, you know? And like I said, very facetious example, but like it's the little stuff that really makes the world go around. Like we always think like, oh my gosh, in these situations, if I don't have this huge platform, if I don't have like the know-how to do this, if I don't have, all this money, if I can't like do whatever, then it's not worthwhile for me to do it. No, that's wrong. Whatever you have is very necessary for the earth. It's very necessary. God is intentional. So there's no reason that you would be on this earth if you didn't have a purpose. So there's no reason that you would have your gift if it wasn't to share. And a lot of times, like I know I've done this to myself that like I'll just like when I'm frustrated or like things aren't going well or whatever, I'll just kind of like pull back and like it's okay. Like I just won't share that or I won't participate in that anymore or I won't help out in that area or whatever the case is. And it'll be fine because somebody else will do it. The fact is somebody else will do it more than likely, but they won't do it the way that you can do it. They won't do it the way that you were intended to do it. And the way that you may sing the song, the way that you may write the poem or write the speech or just, love on your neighbor, hug your neighbors, like whatever the case, again, whatever it is that you have to share, like that's really the thing that somebody might need because somebody may not receive the way that I do it, right? Like somebody watching this one day might think that this is the best thing they've ever heard. Somebody watching it might think that, oh my gosh, this kid with the very messy curly hair needs to shut up. He's congested and he needs to just shut up and go to bed. And I promise you, I'm gonna be in bed in the next couple hours. But somebody thinks it's great, right? Like somebody is gonna love what you do. There's an audience for what you have, and that audience could be one other person. It could be 10 other people. It could be 100. It could be whatever, right? It doesn't have to be like when we think audience, we automatically think big, right? Because like that's what American culture tells us to do, right? Like I was watching this TikTok and it was talking about like breakfast in different countries. And so when it got to the American breakfast, they won because America's so big, they didn't know how to like pinpoint it to like one region. But they're like, in order to really exemplify what American breakfast is, we're gonna have meat. We're gonna have like meat. So it was like they had bacon, and then they said we're gonna fry chicken. We're gonna have like a chicken breast on there, and then we're gonna have sausage gravy, so more meat. Then they had the biscuit, and then they had a waffle, and then it had like a fried egg on top of it. It was like this is American breakfast, but like all the other breakfasts had like maybe one meat and like an egg and maybe some bread or something like that. So it wasn't just all the extra. But anyway, American culture tells us that like we have to do the most, that we have to be excessive in what we do. But like in reality, like some of Jesus's most notable conversations that we gleaned from are with one person. When Jesus was talking to the woman at the well, it said the woman, WOMAN, not WOMEN. Like it was one person. He was talking to one person. When he was talking to the widow's mite, when there was one woman who gave like the tax collector, like when Zacchaeus, there was one person that he's talking to these different people, the woman with the issue of blood, whatever the case. Like he was in a crowd of people, and his audience at that moment was just one person while he was on the way to one other person. So like the fact of the matter is like we do have to get it out of our heads that like we feel like we're not making a huge impact and we're not doing all that we feel like we could be doing, because in reality it really might just be that all we are intended to do is to impact one person. But the fact is that one person can run and they can go tell it, and they can go tell other people. Like what was it, he healed 10 lepers but only one came back and gave praise. Like does that mean that he was a failure? Absolutely not. Like 1 out of 10 in our definition, like that's an F, like a true F. um but in reality, like that was actually something that was worthwhile, because that one leper came back, he sang praises and he was able to testify, blah blah blah. Who knows how many other people learned about Jesus and were eventually saved. So the point of this entire conversation today is, what can you do to make the world better. Because as we know, like as I've said it a few times tonight, the world is absolutely insane at this point. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no two ways about it. It just is crazy. And so at the end of the day, we just have to realize, okay, the world's gonna be crazy. I'm still here. I'm still here for a reason. What is that reason? What am I going to do with it? So I would encourage everybody, if you were to have homework from this, if you will, is to think about your gifts. Like, what are you going to do for the rest of, I would say ultimately the rest of the year, but even think about something for this month. Like, what's something somewhat quick and actionable that you could do? You know, for me, um, I finished my actually I was given some homework last week to like dream some more, do some more. And in the midst of that, I started to think of some other really cool ideas I will be excited to unveil soon. Um I don't know when, but you know, gotta find some money. That's always my thing. Gotta find some money. um oh yeah, but that was the other thing that I wanted to say. I had to look down at my notes. Um Stop, what's it called? Stop counting yourself out before you even get your hat in the ringer. One of the things that has bothered me lately to no end with creatives is the lack of creativity when it comes to making your idea happen. So I know that I am gifted. My mom said, "Tell me." I will tell you, mom. I know that I am gifted at figuring stuff out. Like, there's never so far any of the things that I put together have been either funded by family and like amazing like family sponsors, or like my pocket, or like profit from the rest of my business, whatever the case. Like, I figured it out, right? It's whether it's scaling something back this one time, or doing something to like a do-it-yourself version, or cutting something out of the budget so we can make more room for something else. But one of the things that gets me, and I know that like often I think about events because that's just where my brain goes, but there's a lot of people out here who really have some amazing stuff that they have to offer the world, but they just don't. Like, they'll just be like, I can't do it. And I'm just like, why? And so when people start to tell me the reasons why you can't do things, I'm often like, you're not even trying. You know, like people will tell me all the time, I can't put on that event, or I can't put out my song, or like I can't write the blog, I can't do the website or whatever. They're like, at this point in the world in 2025, the world is so flat when it comes to the ability to have entrepreneurship and have a business and really let your creativity fly. Like, this is being done. The most expensive part of this is my laptop. Then that is, I will say, it's a MacBook Pro. It was a little expensive. But other than that, you got like a dongle from Amazon that's like $18. This microphone that I have is not even the best quality microphone that I have, because I wasn't really sure if I was going to be committed to doing a podcast and doing all that. But hey, I have. That's been great. So I will invest in something better this year. But like, this was a 1999 like podcast mic, and it's good. It's pretty good quality. Right now it's kind of far from me, but you know, I'm also congested. You can't really go in it right now. But like, where there's a will, there's a way. So there's so many people who say like, I want to write a book. Okay, write the book. And I know that I have to like have more grace and more patience, right? But there are also people like me in the world who exist to help people like you get your things off the ground. Because one of the things I cannot stand is for people to say they can't get something done because like of X, Y, and Z, whatever reason. So, you know, if you have questions, shameless plug, if you have questions on how to get something done, whether it's like, I've helped people publish books before, put books out. I've helped people put out music, put out full albums, like produce singles, produce tracks, produce events, make tours happen. Like, I have done so many things, because if you have a gift and it's worth sharing, like, the worst thing to do is to not share it with the world. So, shameless plug, if you need help doing that, I'm offering 1 hour long coaching session. Not really coaching, it's really consulting, because you leave with a plan. Because coaching is great, it really is, but like for me, it's like, how are we going to make this happen? And maybe that is coaching, maybe that is, but to me it feels like more consulting, because I'm like, all right, here's the problem, here's the solution, here's how we would figure this out. And it's for an hour, it's actually only $50. So all I'm saying is that's a really good deal for the amount that of like knowledge that I drop. I've done like 3 of them so far, and they've been really great. They've been really fun for me. And 2 out of the 3 said they had a great time. One person cried because they said they were just very convicted by the lack of motion that they had in their life, and I was like basically telling them what their parents had been telling them and other people in their life. So I still count that one as a win. I was sad to see her cry, but they were like good tears. um, but anyway, but so back to this. All I say is like, what can you do to make this world better? Like if it's just doing some funny content on the internet just to make people laugh. Like people need to laugh. It's if it's teaching them a truth about scripture and the text, like do that as well. Like we do need to be able to handle heavy, but heavy that's like good heavy and like creative heavy, you know? Like I think like I tried with the Valley to not make it so like in your face kind of I don't want to say depressing, but like depressive. Because it was yeah, it had a way that it could have went left, but try to use storytelling, try to make it in a whatever way, but like use your creativity to solve a problem, because otherwise there's no real purpose in you being creative. Because yeah, your creativity is to solve problems, and problems help solve bigger problems in the world. So yeah, so that's really about all I got. I wasn't planning to be here that long tonight because, like I said, I do feel better, but I don't sound better. And I already hate the sound of my voice in general. And I feel like right now it sounds even worse. So that's about all I got for tonight. I will be doing these, like I said, monthly. In March, we're going to talk about actual vision setting and whatnot. I feel like people often do that, like vision boards and whatever, but like really stating it clearly. Because as I was talking to the 3 individuals that I was speaking with, and they all gave me permission to share it. Um, the big, well, for 2 of them, the biggest issue was that they couldn't, what's the word, like really clearly state what their vision was, right? Like, I am this person, I do this does that to give this result, right? That was like really missing from it. Um, and so I use the Create as Well, for example. I feel like that's probably the thing that I have the clearest and most concise vision. The Create as Well is a platform for Christian creatives, entrepreneurs, visionaries, and purpose seekers to be refreshed, renewed, and revitalized for their God-given purpose and calling for transformation, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, having a clear vision helps to know like who you're going to attract, who needs to come, like, so that way if I'm talking to somebody who is not the target audience, that he or she can say, hey, I know somebody who should be a part of this, because everybody you come across is not going to be your target audience, right? So that's half the thing. But if you come to me telling me, like, for example, my church is having a women's conference. I am obviously not a woman, but if someone's telling me about this women's conference, I can now tell other women that I know, like, hey, they're doing this women's conference. It's about, X, Y, and Z, whatever. But if you're not clear, if you're just like, yeah, I do this conference and it's for people and it's happening, at the end of February, et cetera, like that doesn't help me help you, and it doesn't really help you help yourself either. So all this to say, the next thing we'll talk about is like really making that vision clear. And to be honest, I want to do this with some of you guys live. So if you want to get in on that, I'm going to announce the date for the rest of them, and also like the little trainings, if you will be done then. The next several will be like really practical stuff that we'll talk to. I think we do vision, and then like pitching and like positioning yourself. In May, we'll talk about marketing, this concept that I've been working on called posting and ghosting, because a lot of times people will literally get on here and post a flyer once, and that's it. And then they'll be mad that it didn't go viral. Well, in today's society, that's just not good enough anymore, unfortunately. So we'll talk about that. Hopefully in June we can have another pitch contest, not conference. Maybe it will be a conference. Who knows? Maybe that was a purposeful slip. And then it just kind of goes on and on from there. So, like I said, I am doing my best to use my gifts to make this world a better place. I really exist, honestly, I believe, to help Christian creatives as well as Christians in general. Christians in general, more so like the fun events I do, like Holy Hoodlum, stuff like that, Carols for a Cause. But specifically, I think the biggest thing is the create as well. As I'm learning more and more about myself, that's really where my brain focuses in, even when I don't want it to focus there. So that's something for me that's very important. So I'm here to help my fellow Christian creatives and entrepreneurs. I want us to be funded. I want us to be like healthy mentally, um, even emotionally too. Like have a good outlook on like what you do. I know I told you guys myself, like I don't have the best. Well, I have much better confidence now, but like in the beginning, I didn't have really great confidence in doing these things. Like I wouldn't get on live and just start talking before, but now it's just like, what are you gonna do? Block me? Like, you? What are you gonna do? And the fact is, I'm on all the platforms, so you might block me on Facebook, but you're gonna see me on Instagram. But anyway, so that's all I got for real this time. Like I said, I'm always a Baptist preacher who doesn't know how to close, but I'm going to close now. So I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you had a great day off. I was not off because my job doesn't believe in federal holidays. Um, and that's just really sad. But it's okay. I'm making the world a better place even today by taking time